So before I start this video, I think there's a few things that I think would be good to cover. First is that no, I'm not a third person. I am Harrison and I got a haircut. We'll show some images of the future from our videos, but the past from last week to when I'm recording this right now, if that's not confusing enough. But I over the course of the trip towards the end, I decided to try and dread my hair, and I didn't really like the way it was coming out. And the only way to get rid of dreads is to shave them off. So now I have this hair, and I'm going to try and get my old hair back, but that's a little off topic. But something else I wanted to talk about as well is that our trip is complete. We have not put all of our videos out yet, and we actually have a ton of videos to put out. We still have almost all of England's to put out. We put out a few for Halloween. We have Austria to cover, and I think we have one more video in Germany. I'm not completely sure, but we have a lot of footage to still put out, and so you won't be without content, I guess. So let's talk about the worst travel experience that has happened to us thus far. So Morgan mentioned this in the last video, in about the middle of it. She talked about how I got assaulted, and yeah, that actually happened. It was a really bad experience, but it wasn't an experience that I would say ruins the trip or anything. I was like dumbfounded when it happened. Like, I couldn't believe that someone like smacked me, and it was something where I just kind of froze, and I needed to like realize that that just happened. I think the best way to tell this story is right after it happened, I needed a way to like cope with what happened exactly. So I went to Facebook and I wrote a status. It wasn't just to cope, but it was also to have like an accurate depiction of what actually happened. So I wrote it down like right after it happened, maybe an hour or two after. And it was just documentation, really. So now I'm gonna just kind of read off my status and give my thoughts about it and blah, 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 blah. So my status starts, I've just got to write this down somewhere to feel better about the situation. And I'll tell you what, I was very anxious and very shocked like that this happened. So what happened exactly? So the place we're staying at in Germany, it was a hotel, and our host found out that we droned and we had drone footage, and they thought it was super awesome. And they asked us if we could drone some of their hotel so that they could use it for their website. And we thought, oh, that is so cool, because now I can use that as a really cool reference to say, oh, I got someone in Germany wanted me to film their hotel. Like that's a huge thing, I think, to have as a resume builder, you know. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So we didn't get paid or anything like that. It was just something where I got the footage and we exchanged it. So we actually use that footage in our videos too. So it was an awesome win-win, honestly. So I continue the status and I say, we were completely fine with it, and seeing as they own the hotel and the surrounding grounds, it didn't seem like much of a problem. I knew there would be some people who were concerned, so I had them write a permission slip, which I actually have right here. We kept it. We thought it was a really cool souvenir. I'll blur out their name, and I'll take a picture of it and put it, I don't know, in this area so you can see what it says. But it's all in German, and to sum it up, it basically says that the owner gives me and Morgan permission to film with the drone inside and outside of the hotel. So I had them write this because just looking at a situation, like I would never film in this area unless I was asked to, because filming in like cities, especially like having the drone that low is really concerning to a lot of people. And not just that, but having it look in hotel rooms too. The owner had organized it because it was a Sunday, and Sundays she's always dead, and she didn't have anyone go in the rooms in the front and the side of the hotel. So all of those rooms were empty. So they had like all the doors open and all the windows open, so I could take like a drone shot and have it glide across, and you could see the insides and all that. And we got what they wanted, which was great. So this permission slip actually came in handy. We had 4 separate people, I believe it was 4 separate people, come up to us and say in German or in English, like, what are you doing? Can you do that? Or can you not do that? And then we would just show them this paper, and this paper, they would read it and go, oh, okay, like, I understand, like, that's that. And I'm really glad we did this, because we would have been stopped like 5 minutes after flying the drone, because it's like a bizarre thing to see someone flying this thing in such a public area. I thought it was fine, honestly, because the owner had given us permission. Not just the owner giving us permission, but the owner owns the property. So it was like, oh, okay, so we can fly it in this area and not have to really worry about it because we got permission from the landowner. And it only helped even more to have the manager of the hotel being there with us. So it wasn't the same person as the owner, but they were the manager, and they were informed about everything going on, and they were very helpful to talking to people, letting them know what was going on and all that. Even some people who did ask about the drone and then they saw that we were doing it and we had permission to, they were like interested in it. They're like, wow, that's so cool, can I see? And I would show them, like, because when I do fly the drone, like, I can see on the screen what I'm filming, and so it's like you get a bird's eye view right there, and people who are from the area think that's like the coolest thing. If you think of like where your house is and you can see like a bird's eye angle of like that place, like it's just a cool concept. Who doesn't like that? Next thing I said in my status was, I should note that we were flying the drone around the hotel, and near the hotel is a small diner. I never go within 30 to 40 feet of any person, and I instructed Morgan to have a second pair of eyes on the drone, along with all the built-in automatic sensors that came with it. Crashing it was never a concern. That's very true. Like, whenever I fly the drone, if the weather conditions are off, like, I will never fly it. Like, I won't risk it. If I feel like the signal's weak, or if I feel like I'm in a no-fly zone, like, I won't do it. Like, I get anxious getting worried about getting in trouble. So I only do something if I'm confident enough that I'm not going to get in trouble. We were wrapping up the drone footage. We were flying it for maybe 25 to 30 minutes. And I was just getting the last couple of shots, and then I was going to be like, that's it, that's done. Like, I think we got enough footage. Before I landed it, however, an older couple, 60s or 70s, came by, and the wife said, "Thank you for ruining our lunch." Morgan and I immediately explained that we were given permission to fly the drone to film the hotel, to which they both replied, "You're filming?" Followed by the older man swiftly, aggressively, and successfully swinging his cane, metal cane, mind you, at my controller, smacking my hand and popping one of the antennas. His wife immediately pushed him back and ran off, but luckily Morgan chased them down to request a name, which they of course wouldn't give. They went on to tell Morgan that you can't take pictures of people, to which she said, "I will now," and she took a few pictures of their faces with her phone so we could identify them later. So when that happened, when we said we're filming, like, they didn't, like, we had our paper out, we're like about to show them, and like his just reaction, he immediately was just like, nope, and like smacked my controller in my hand, and I had like a bruise under my nail for a little bit, and I was just in shock. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was just sitting there, and when it happened, I was just like not reacting. I don't know. I just was so baffled that it happened. And Morgan was like, "Did you just hit him?" And I was just like trying to not like be stupid about the situation. Like, I can't hit this older man back. Like, what is that gonna do? That's gonna be a really bad situation. And Morgan, being who Morgan is, she reacted right away, and she was like, "We're not getting taken advantage of like this. Like, he's gonna pay," basically. Her reaction to go and take photos of him was really smart, honestly, because my reaction was, that just happened. I don't want to have to do anything with this. I just want to turn around and pretend it didn't happen because I'm so bothered by it. But that led to Morgan going back to the hotel, which we were right in front of, just going to the counter and saying, "Hey, Harrison just got hit. We need to call the police." And I have like a police phobia. Like at home, abroad, anywhere, I am just, for whatever reason, afraid of the police. I'm not someone who does illegal things. I don't smoke pot and never have. My first drink was in Germany and I'm 24. Like, I'm very like, follow the rules. And if you don't, like, what's wrong with you kind of person. But for whatever reason, police, like, I'm so intimidated by them. Like, I feel like they're out to get me. And so when Morgan called the police, I was kind of a little panicked because I'm just so nervous and I'm so like shook from the situation. They did end up coming. They ended up pulling in and we told them about the situation, what happened and all that. They told us there wasn't really much we can do, even though we got their photo. He said that because I was flying the drone, that was technically a gray area for legality, because even though the owner of the hotel had given us permission, and even though she owns that land, we were in the center of the city and it's not really her right to give us that permission. And well, I didn't know that. So they kind of let us off the hook, but at the same time let those other people off the hook. So it was just an odd situation. Like, I'm glad I'm not in trouble, but I just got hit and nothing's coming of it. And they broke my drone controller, and it was really like devastating. Like, I really thought it was like, I can't fly this and I'm not going to risk flying it not knowing that it's going to work. I ended up fixing it. What I did is it was like a mechanical error. It wasn't like an internal, it wasn't wires. It was just like I had to like pop it back in place, and I used like a paper clip, the end of the paper clip, to push some piece back in, and it worked. Like it made it functional again. And my drone's fine, like it's good, but like he pops it off and bruised my hand, and I was just like disturbed. I was just disturbed, and I already getting nervous from droning and already nervous from how people will react to it. It like verified my fears. Like, it really made it a reality that, oh, it's this thing I've been fearing has really happened. And I just felt so like I couldn't, like, I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to like do anything. I didn't want to film. And I just like sat in that hotel room for a couple days not doing anything because I was just so anxious and nervous to do anything. But I eventually got over it. We do drones in some other places, like in later, so don't expect there to not be drone. I get over it. Like, I want to get these beautiful shots, and we don't know how many times we're going to be traveling the world like this, and you only get one time, right? So just do it. Like, just get the footage. Like I said, I wrote this status just a couple hours after the incident happened, so I'll just read off why the police informed us of the decisions they were making. First is that even though we got permission to fly the drone from the owner of the hotel, we were pushing risk with the local law to fly in Germany, even though we were given permission to fly on that private land, which again, because it's in the middle of the city, it's like a gray area. You don't know when the drone is necessarily on the private land and when it's not. Second is that they don't do searches for people whose crime was to damage property, and they wouldn't accept a photo of them. So even though we tried to give them a photo and we were like, hey, you could post this somewhere, because I know it's got to happen everywhere in the world. When someone commits a crime, they, at least in the US, they'll post it on their like police Facebook page and say, have you seen this person? We're looking for them. Any tips would help, blah, blah, blah. And it just holds people responsible. Third was that even if they did accept a photo of them, and they did find them, we would apparently risk the drone laws in the case and would ultimately hurt ourselves in the process, holding that guy accountable. So again, reiterating that it's a gray area to fly the drone there, even though we were given permission. Yeah. Fourth and final was that there was a large festival going on. This was the San Kurwa, and we actually, I'll put a little link at the end of our video. You can check out that video too. And people were coming from all over Germany to attend this. We actually had some people come from the other side of Germany who we talked to that weren't related to this case at all. and that was at the festival. So I can totally understand if there's people coming from all over the place, like it's just going to be difficult to find them. So at the end of my status, I just kind of wrote down my feelings and wrote down like a FYI to anyone who feels like they're in a situation like this. So I wrote, I feel so powerless right now, but what I want to get across to people out of this situation are these points. One is, if you see someone flying a drone and you're concerned with the danger of it, don't hit their controller. Like, don't do that. You're going to make them lose all control because you're hitting the controller. That just makes the situation way worse. Two is, if you're concerned about what someone's drone is filming and you see that person, try to talk to them about it. If they seem sketchy, then call the cops and keep an eye on them. I understand that drones can be a very scary thing to a lot of people, and especially to a lot of people who have privacy concerns. That being said, I was given permission, but like if they're in a public place or in a park or somewhere, like just don't worry about it. They're not filming you. They're filming something else. And that leads actually it segues into the third thing I wrote, is that if you're in a public place, do not get upset over what others are doing. The world does not revolve around you, and I'm completely stunned that someone in their right mind thinks it's justifiable to assault someone over a tiny flying machine, which is so true. Like, it's so irritating that it's like he was wanting to hit somebody and looking for an excuse, and it's really sucky that I had to be that person. I feel these people were out to get us or paranoid, as even after we told them we were filming the hotel, they had the fixation that we were filming them. And we weren't. They're not in our footage. And it's really sad that they thought hitting my stuff and hitting me was justifiable. And then I ended it with, I'm starting to watch Rick and Morty, and I know I'm way behind on that fad, but I got to get the situation out, or the frustration out somehow. But yeah, that's just about it. That was the worst thing that happened to us on this whole trip. And I don't regret it. Like, I don't regret filming the hotel. I don't regret doing any of that. I just regret that there's people like that. But at the same time, you can't let a situation like that ruin your experience, because Bomberg had some very nice people, like the nicest people. Morgan actually lost her phone when we were walking the dogs, and some lady went through the trouble of finding her phone, calling the last person who happened to be the hotel owner, and then telling them to just drop it off at the hotel lobby. And I think that's really rare to find anywhere in the world, for someone to do that. It was also a situation where, again, Morgan talked about it a little bit in the last video, where Mello, the golden retriever, cut his foot on something while I was playing fetch with them, and I was alone. Morgan wasn't with me, and I was kind of freaking out. I was like, I don't know where the vet is. And a lady saw me freaking out a little bit, and she was like, what's the matter? And I was like, he cut his foot, do you know where the nearest vet is? And she's trying to give me directions, oh, it's around the corner, this way, that way. And I was like, let me write it down, trying to write it down on my phone, because I didn't have any data, so I couldn't use maps or anything. And she's like, you know what, just let me walk you there. And it was a 15-minute walk, but we eventually got there, and it was this lady just went out of her way to do that. And that's amazing, and that's the stuff I want to remember from this trip. There are nice people everywhere, and there are assholes everywhere, but it's what you want to remember that makes it the best. All right, well, that was that story. Be sure to subscribe. We have a Patreon. If you want to check that out, you can get early access to our videos. You can get a letter mailed to you from wherever we currently are in the world. You can also get exclusive videos and photos. So that's a cool thing. And be sure to check out our Reddit. Our Reddit page is called Thrifty Travel. That is a community where we talk about budget travel and how to do it, and a place for us to ask questions, a place for you to ask questions, and a place for everyone to learn how to do it. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.